This is single-handedly one of the most important and economical things that you can make in your kitchen ever. And most people don't know the best way to make it, but that's why I'm here, and that's why you're here. Or, well, I hope so. Now, obviously, you can make a bajillion kinds of soups with it, several sauces. You can use it for braising liquid to braise meats or vegetables or whatever. It's also fantastic to replace the water when you're cooking rice with chicken stock. Obviously, since we're on the subject of rice, risotto. When people are always buying chicken stock from the store and never make it at home, I'm telling you, it is volumes better to make it at home. And making it at home is so incredibly cheap and insanely hands-off to make. Find the time and freeze it, because you will thank yourself. And hopefully you'll thank me and subscribe. Thanks.
Now we're gonna start with my favorite way to make chicken stock, which I think will be the most applicable for pretty much any recipe, which is essentially going to be a brown stock. Although brown stocks are usually made with beef, you could totally make one with chicken. It's not illegal, all right? Now first you're gonna need some bones, obviously. I'm using chicken bones because I personally like the versatility of chicken stock, but you can use any bones you want, beef, pork, lamb, you get the point. Now you can get them in a local butcher, or you can get your own from a whole chicken by breaking it down yourself. If you choose to break down your whole chicken, here's a rundown. Now we're gonna play with the chicken. No, we're not gonna do that. That's enough. You must be loving yet firm with your bird. Now this is really easy to do. It's only gonna take you like 5 minutes. Oh, and right after I say respect your bird, I did a minute do a backflip. In all seriousness, making stock out of your chicken's bones is the ultimate respect because you're using every part of the animal. Now, I'm gonna do this quickly. So, first thing you want to do is get the legs out of your way just for now. Cut that layer of skin that's connecting the legs to the breast just so that the legs lay flat but remain attached. You can also bend the legs back to keep them down. Now, if you bend the legs back even further, then you'll reveal the joint that you need to cut through in order to remove it. Now, I'm gonna slow this clip down, so all you need to do is lift that leg up and cut all the way down and then cut in between that joint from the body and it should come right off. Repeat that on both sides and then remove the wings with essentially the same technique. You're gonna kind of cut around the shoulder and then bend the wing behind, it's kind of hard to see, and cut in between that joint from the body and it should come right off as well. Okay, so now you're just left with the breast. So these are intimidating but surprisingly easy. So you need to find that breastbone that actually separates the two breasts. It's right down the middle. You can actually see it here. It's like defined by almost like a line. And you're gonna cut alongside that, keeping your knife against the bone, like keep your knife against the bone the entire time and just keep cutting and scraping back and it should come right off and there should be little to no meat on the bone because you've kept your blade on the bone the entire time. And you're just gonna follow that all the way through, all the way down until the breast comes free. You might have to work it around some spots due to the wishbone, but it's not so bad. And you know, if any pieces remain behind, that's okay because they're gonna go in your stock anyway. Okay, so your chicken's separated and you got the majority of your bones ready, but what about the bones in the leg and the thigh? So the cool thing about this cut is you can actually remove the bone from the leg and the thigh and leave it in one single piece. Now to do that, you're gonna find where the bone is underneath the meat and then you're going to cut along the bone just to reveal it. We're not taking it out yet. And you're gonna cut all the way down from one end of the thigh and then all the way down the leg or the drumstick, if that's what you wanna call it, I don't know. Okay, so you can see the bones were revealed really nicely here. So now you're gonna start with the thigh bone, work your knife underneath that thigh bone, but don't go all the way through. You just are trying to get in between the bone and the meat and then run your knife under and cut it. Boom, look at that, comes right off. It's really easy. And then just use your blade to scrape down the bone and kind of remove excess meat. That'll stay attached if you scrape properly. And then repeat the same process with the other side. Now, you kind of have a little bit of the bone still attached to the meat, and that would be like the knuckle part of the bone. Just kind of whittle your knife around that to reveal it out of the meat and then cut through, and you should be able to cut it out while leaving the whole piece of meat intact. If you cut a little too deep, you may end up cutting it in half. If you do, no big deal, but boom, there's the bone. And just repeat that with the other thigh. Now you have all of your bones. Or you can just go to the grocery store and get chicken bones if you be like that. But it's a good technique to learn if you want to learn how to break down a chicken. Once you've got your bones, place them on a baking rack on a foil-lined baking sheet and give them a drizzle of oil. You know, give them a little bit of a massage too because they've had a long day. Don't salt them because the salt will draw out moisture. Then roast those bones at 425 degrees Fahrenheit or 218 degrees Celsius for 40 to 45 minutes or until nice deep brown. Now I probably would have gone a little bit darker than this, but I decided that my neighbors had enjoyed enough of of the song of my fire alarms people. Then just transfer those bones to an appropriately sized large pot. I'm using this 5-quart pot that you guys make fun of all the time because it looks like shit. I get it, okay? It's an old pot. I like it. I don't want to throw it away. Now, before anyone asks, a good starting off point would be anywhere from 2 to 4 pounds of bones, or 1 to 2 kilos. Now we're gonna make something called a mirepoix, which is just gonna be 1 carrot that's sliced into large pieces, 1 peeled yellow onion that's been, roughly chopped. I'd like to cut mine into 8. Some people like to cut them into quarters. And then 2 stalks of celery, which have been roughly chopped. Then add that entire mirepoix mixture to your pot of bones, and then simply add enough water to cover an inch above your bones. Place that on your stove over medium-high heat and bring that up to a boil, and as soon as it comes up to a boil, reduce it to a low simmer. Now when it comes up to a simmer, you're probably going to notice this foamy sort of like scum that rises to the top. Just take a spoon or a ladle and kind of scrape that off and carefully remove any scum that rises to the top as it's simmering. Now you don't want to rapidly boil this because that's going to kind of affect the stock and make it a little too cloudy. You can if you want, but I prefer to keep it at a lower simmer and then just kind of intermittently remove scum. If it rises to the top, eventually it'll stop, and then just let it simmer for anywhere between 2 to 4 hours. That's it. You don't need to have it on the stove for 15 hours. If you want to go really long, you can, but I personally have noticed that a 3 to 4 hour timeline is actually pretty good. Oh, and I almost forgot, during that simmer, you're welcome to add any aromatics you want. You want to add some fresh thyme or parsley or black peppercorns, feel free to do so. Now, once your stock is done simmering, simply take a spider or something, a slotted spoon or something to remove the bones. Just take those bones out and place them in a bowl on the side to cool, and then strain your stock through a fine mesh sieve or a chinois, and there you go. You have a brown chicken stock or any bone that you chose to use. Now, aside from a brown stock, there is a more specialized stock made with virtually the same ingredients, yet it's completely different, and that is the power of technique. Now, the second more specialized stock, which is a little bit underrated, is a white stock. So you're gonna start by covering those same chicken bones with cold water, no vegetables or anything, and then bring that up to a rapid boil. Now, once it starts rapid boiling, let it boil for about, 10 seconds, not very long, and then strain them through a mesh strainer or a colander, and then rinse them off with water. Now, what this is doing is it's removing some of the impurities so that the stock is a little lighter in color and is a little more lighter in flavor. Then place those blanched bones back in a pot covered with water, the same as before, and this time you're gonna add a mirepoix, but it's gonna be something called a white mirepoix, which is typically done with onions, celery, parsnip, white mushrooms, leeks, or garlic, or all of them. I'm doing 1 onion rough chopped, 1 stalk of celery rough chopped, and 5 cloves of garlic rough chopped, with the addition of a bay leaf. And then just bring that up to a boil and then reduce to a light simmer and simmer it for 3 to 4 hours, skimming any scum that rises to the top if it does. And this is gonna result in a much more delicately flavored, lighter colored stock. And that is typically done with chicken bones, but you can use other bones if you wish. So now you know, this isn't just some recipe, this is a technique. Okay, well, it is technically a recipe, but I'm not just gonna leave you with that. There's just one more thing, B-roll.
Alright guys, and that is it. Chicken stock. I've said it again and again in this video, probably way too many times. But chicken stock is so versatile and it's the basis of so many things. I really hope that you guys start making it from home more often. You can go and buy a whole chicken, roast it or whatever, use the bones later, or it pains me to see people throw those bones away when I know that they can just put them in a bag. And then you've got stock, bro. Huge thank you to you guys who are constantly supporting me. I know that there are a lot of you who are longtime supporters, or well, longtime considering it's only been a few months that I've been doing this regularly, but just want to say a huge thank you to all of you and for everyone who's being so kind and making all the things that I am putting out here and enjoying them. Just thank you. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video or you learned something, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you next week.